What does it mean to be biblically healthy, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually? Welcome. I'm your host, Dalton, and this is the Iron Lion Podcast. Let's get started. Welcome back. I'm glad that you tuned in today. I wanted to make a clarification really quick. I know in a previous podcast here recently, I gave a shout out to my buddy Derek and his YouTube channel, and I got his name wrong. So it's not Shine Bright Light, it's Share Bright Light. So go check him out. Check out what the Lord's placed on his heart and the creative ways that he brings that to the table. So with that being said, I hope everybody's had a great last week. I want to kind of share an update really quick. I'm going to be changing the way that I do these podcasts. So what I'm going to do is there will be a ministry-focused, health education-focused podcast every week, and then there will also be a workout available every 2 weeks as well. So I'm going to split the workouts up into two different podcast systems. So I hope you tune in for that. I just didn't want you to have to wait for 15 minutes to get to the meat of the message. So that's why I'm splitting them up. If you're interested in the workouts or any training program or anything like that, got some goals you want to meet, definitely let us know. You can contact us at Facebook or on Instagram, just any social media platform. We answer back pretty quickly. So, alrighty. With all that being said, we are about to start a podcast series focused towards fear. That's what today's podcast is about. Today we are just going to try and understand fear from a physiological standpoint. What is fear definition-wise, and how is it healthy, how is it unhealthy, and how can you leave today knowing the difference between the two whenever you're faced with a fearful situation. So I know we've all heard a similar story about these mothers that are able to lift cars after a car accident where their kid may be trapped underneath it, or maybe they break the window out in order to get their baby out, or whatever the case may be, but they have this supernatural strength that comes from being in the state of fear. Their adrenaline spikes, their instincts kick in, and they just react. They don't think about the logic of the car being 800, 900 pounds. They just do whatever it takes to get to their baby. So with that being said, I really believe that fear starts in the mind, starts in the brain. Most of us don't have to think about like breathing or digesting our food or making our heart beat or anything like that. The autonomic nervous system takes care of these functions. We think of these as automatic. It is divided into two branches: the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system, and the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight system, which is what these mothers are going through. The process where their body is creating adrenaline and things like that in order for them to do these incredible things that's pretty much impossible. So fear kicks your fight or flight response into overdrive. Your adrenal glands secrete adrenaline. Your adrenal glands are actually located just right above your kidneys, if you were wondering. Blood flow decreases to your brain's frontal lobe, which is responsible for logical thinking and planning. At that state, the deeper, more animalistic part of your brain, including the amygdala, take over. So it becomes more of an instinct than it does a thoughtful action, something that you've put thought into in order to respond rather than react. So why does our body do this? Why is it that in these stressful situations where Our life may be in danger, or someone we love's life may be in danger, or it even could be a stranger. But it's almost like your body does all of these things on your behalf in this situation in order for you to what? Stay alive, in order for you to protect someone. Maybe that's your kids or whoever it is. The people that mean the most to you, you would lay down your life for them if that's meant that they would be safe. You know what I mean? You love them. You don't want anything to happen to them. But anyway, that's pretty much your body's goal, is to keep you alive and to keep those alive around you. And so you have a physiological response to that by your adrenaline kicking in, breathing faster, and all of these other things, almost kind of preparing you to run away from a predator, or run to, basically into the fire, for the lack of better words, to be able to do whatever it takes to protect those that you love. But physiologically, some people may get sweaty and flushed, or have cold, clammy hands. I know when I'm nervous or scared or something like that, when I'm on a stage of any type, that's what happens to me. Kind of get some clammy hands and start to sweat a little bit. But the reason for that is that blood flows away from the edges of your body towards the larger interior muscles. If you're going to be fighting or fleeing, you want as much blood flow to the big muscles of your body as possible. So all of this sounds like a reasonable argument that fear is a good thing, but I think what we really have to focus on is where fear goes wrong in our life and where it controls us when it is illogical. So the definition of a phobia is illogical fear. And illogical fear is not something that we can actually use to benefit us in any type of way. And so since we're not living in a time where we are in a lot of physical danger, or a society where we're not in a lot of physical danger. Now there are societies out there that are in physical danger all the time, that their body has to be always on alert because of the area that they live in. Maybe there's a lot of crime in the area, or a lot of predators, animal-wise, or whatever the case may be. Their bodies have to always be on alert to be able to protect them. But for those of us that live kind of comfortably here in America, we really don't have to worry about that. And I use that term very loosely. But anyway, so our brains actually don't know the difference between a emotional stress and the same danger as you would feel if you were in an earthquake or a car accident or something like that. So it responds in a very similar way. We don't have the same stresses as we could physically. So our brain sometimes makes things up in order for us to stay alert. And the truth of the matter is that the enemy, the devil, he uses this weakness against us a lot. And that's why it is important that we take every thought captive, as it says in 2 Corinthians 10:5. See, we're not supposed to be crippled by fear in any way. God says over 80 times in the Bible, do not fear. Why? Because he is with us. Even though God created a fear response in order to protect us or to protect others, he did not give us a spirit of fear, but one of power and love and self-discipline. 2 Timothy 1:7. So with that being said, I'm probably going to close up here. We are going to have, like I said, a series on fear over the next few weeks, and we'll go into it a little bit deeper next week. But take this into consideration, is that the enemy is going to try his best to overcome you with fear and worry. Now, are there things that we have responsibilities for that we need to take care of? Yes, but that is part of power and self-discipline. That's what God has given us, the ability to respond in a way that is of the nature of God. Do you know what I'm saying? There are things that are outside of our hand or outside of our control where we have to really rely on God as our firm foundation to be able to take care of those things. And so over this next week, be thinking about and maybe even write down some things that you are afraid of and try to consider whether or not they are logical or illogical. Now, they will be illogical if you know that the enemy is playing off of that. Does that make sense? So if you're just sitting in, your house, okay, at night, and you start to think about all the what ifs. What if I have a car accident tomorrow? Or what if this? Or what if that? All of those things are illogical. Why? Because we are not promised tomorrow, regardless. Our hope and our salvation should be in the Lord, to where, it doesn't matter what happens to us. Now, I do understand that is a painful thought, but at the same time, we have to have that assurance in the Lord that we know where we're going, we know who we serve, we know who we love, and so anyway, make that list and then pray about how God would kind of give you the discernment in the moment of fear, in the moment of worry. But you have to pray about that. The Bible says pray about everything and worry about nothing. So that's what you need to do. Pray about everything and worry about nothing. But anyway, thanks again for listening. If you like this podcast and you want to get notifications for the next Fearless podcast within this series, I'm not sure really how long this will drag out, but I hope that you stay with us. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button wherever it is that you're listening: YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Deezer, all of these cool places. But anyway, if you have any feedback, like I said, let us know on Facebook or Instagram, and I will be praying for all of you throughout this next week, and I look forward to hearing how God uses this particular podcast to impact your life and your walk with Him. So with that being said, I love y'all, God bless, and don't forget to lion up.